Yeah, what's up? MDeezydinero. I just finished watching that Jim Jones interview that I was on with Funkmaster Flex, where he talked about everything. He talked about Dipset, Camron, Max B, him signing the Rock Nation, and I think it was a dope interview. I see online a lot of people hating, people talking about they making memes of him, making fun of him, saying people cry every day, be the little meme and the Camron voice and all of that, because he literally had tears. He didn't cry, but you could see tears coming down his face as he was telling his story. But people don't realize, man, even thugs cry. The hardest men in the world will cry. When you hold things in long enough and things build up, you don't cry from being a wimp. Sometimes you cry from anger or emotions, the built-in emotions that's inside of you. So it might build up so much that a tear might come down your eyes. You might be so angry at something where it hurts you, where there might be a tear. So just because he cried during the interview, people are childish. People making fun of it. But I think it was a dope interview because there's not too many rappers that show their true self, that will do an interview and expose how they really feel about things and keep it real, keep it 100, keep talk about their losses, talk about their wins. Most of these rappers is faking it. Most of these rappers be cowards, herbs in their hood, but then they get in front of the cameras and they some super Tony Montana gangster. But it's good to see rappers tell the truth. It's good to, and Jim Jones, I feel he was telling the truth. Even though I know it's always two sides of a story, I think that he said a lot of things that he held back. He was very humble in the interview, and that's what I respect about that interview. He was very humble. Funkmaster Flex, Funkmaster Flex tries to get people to go at each other. So there was many times that Funkmaster Flex said something to try to put that battery in his back so he could throw shots at different people. But Jim, just like, he didn't want to talk about nobody. He just like, yo, he's in a good place in his life. He moved on for it. He moved on from it. So I respect that. To me, a real gangster knows when to move on for something and know when not to feed into the bull. And Funkmaster Flex, he's known for trying to feed in to the bull. But I think Funkmaster Flex did a great interview because he brung up a lot of things and Jim spoke about it. Stood up like a G. Just like everybody's people forgot the whole reason this love and hip hop thing popped off was because Jim Jones was on there. Who would have watched Love and Hip Hop if they didn't have no real rappers on there? Nobody. And people didn't know what he told people, and I didn't even know this, that Love and Hip Hop was his concept. The name of it was they got the name from, I think, Emily Fab's baby moms, because all of them are close. I think she came up with the name and he came up with the concept. And I forgot the name, the Haitian lady that's pimping everybody, the one that runs the Love and Hip Hop show. She the one who, since Jim wasn't on his paperwork right, she the one was managing him at the time, and she took over the whole idea and pimped him out, and she got all the credit. She got all that money for it, even though it was his idea. So that's a lesson learned. Sometimes when you go to somebody with an idea, you got to make sure you trademark your idea and everything, because you can't trust nobody. Even your own manager will pimp you and take over your idea and try to take all the credit for something that you created. So I think that was deep that he brought that up, because I don't think too many people know that. We knew that he was on the show, but we didn't know he's the one that came up with the whole concept and everything. I knew before that he was on the show because of his girl. So that's how the show was created. He wanted to create something for his girl, to get his girl out there. So the whole show was created around his girl. So I think that was deep. And the thing that was deep too, where we understand he was a soldier. He was a soldier at Dipset. So he did what he had to do until he came up. He got down until he was able to come up. And I think that's what hurt him so much, because whenever it was beef, whenever it was problems, he handled that. He was out there on the forefront. He was out there, trying to rep. And we know Jim is not a fighter, but he scrapped. Like he said, win or lose, he's going to be out there doing what he do. And shout out to Dipset, because Dipset is associated with my peoples, my street people. I don't want to say no names. I ain't trying to incriminate nobody, but we run in the same circles. So shout out to everybody from Dipset. Shout out to little bro Jules Santana. Shout out to his boy Malik. I don't know if they still mess with each other. Shout out to my boy Frost, doing time right now. My little brother Frost. Shout out to a lot of other people. We ain't gonna get into that. But shout out to Dipset as a whole. But shout out to Jim for that interview. It was a dope interview. If you didn't see it, go check it out. The Funkmaster Flex interview. I don't want to get into everything, but it was a deep interview. And I see how Funkmaster Flex kept having a problem with him signing to Jay-Z. Talk about, y'all had beef and everything. How you gonna sign to Jay-Z? People don't realize, man. When you got an opportunity to do better for your family and do better for yourself, why hold on to childish grudges? Nobody died from the incident. Nobody died from the little beef they had. How I grew up back in the 80s, back in the 90s, well, more back in the 80s, when we fought, we'll fight, try to kill each other during the fight. Then afterwards, we shake hands, we friends again. All we had to do is get that off our chest. That's what fighting was about. Fighting wasn't about fighting and then holding a grudge. Nah, you fight, you win or lose, you got it off your chest. We be like, you good now? You good? Alright, it's done. And that's all it was. He had a fight at the Rutgers game. He got knocked out by one of the Brooklyn kids. Shout out to Brooklyn, that's where I'm from. He got knocked out by one of the Brooklyn kids. That was the end of it. Camron high jumped the fence, ran on him, didn't help him, didn't have his back. But Jim didn't say anything about that. Jim didn't want nothing negative to say about Camron. Like he said, Camron was their leader. Protect the leader. And that's what he did. He was a soldier for his team. And I like that. That's what he was. That's what he is. And he holding it down. You don't supposed to expose the family business. You don't supposed to go to public and talk about your dirty laundry. But that's the only problem I have with him. And he also admits that he has a problem with that. He admits that sometimes he gets emotional and do rants on social media. And I hate when people do rants on social media, because it's like, I had a problem with that with one of my younger bros. They went online talking about things that affect our inner circle. And I told them, I'm like, yo, this is not the place for it. Instagram, Facebook is not the place for it. Like, if you got a problem with that man, talk to that man. They like, nah, young dudes, they think they know everything, so they don't understand. When you go to the public about your dirty laundry, it doesn't look bad on the person you're talking about. It shows that all y'all as a whole are weak. It shows the weakness between y'all. Cause then people be like, damn, I thought that was his boy. He's out here talking about his boy like that. That shows how y'all. That shows y'all weakness. So as a team, you should never air out your dirty laundry in public. Keep all that in private. Nobody needs to know what y'all going through. Nobody needs to know about y'all little beefs and all of that. Because if y'all ever make up and settle y'all differences, people always gonna remember y'all problems. And then you're gonna look like a sucker going back, joining back up after you done aired the person out. So that's the only problem I did have with how Jim Jones conduct things. But he did admit in the interview that he has a problem doing that. And he said that he's gonna stop doing that. But other than that, I think it was an amazing interview. I respect him more after seeing the interview. So everybody check that out. That Funkmaster Flex interview with Jim Jones. Alright, I'm out. MDeezydinero.